My name's Graham Wyman, the program coordinator with the Vancouver Adapted Music Society. Today is my final installment of my interview series with Rolf Kempf. We pick up directly after Rolf's second piece of music, The Watermelon Girl, finishes. Nice. So, moving on with our questions here, I guess we could probably start talking about the Vancouver Adapted Music Society. So would you mind telling our listeners a little bit about how you found out about VAMS and what drew you to the organization?
Sure, it was. I'm getting an echo. I'm getting an echo in mine
In yours?
in my monitors. I
Okay.
don't know. If,
I'm not getting quite. I'm just hearing the reverb that you have right now.
oh, all right. Well, I'll disregard it.
Okay.
Um, there was a coffee house on what's the main street that goes out to New West from Vancouver? It was a major street.
You
There
mean
was a coffee
Main
house there,
Main
and
Street?
they had a jam.
Southwest or
An
South
open
South
mic.
Marine?
No, it's a major street. It's not Broadway. It's the other one, the one that cuts diagonally.
Night?
No,
Kingsway?
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I can't remember. I drive on it like 2 or 3 times a week. I can't
Gotcha.
remember. Um, anyway, I found out about an open mic, and I thought, oh, let's go. I had just gotten this beautiful blue Stratocaster. It
Yeah.
was a Mexican Strat, and it played like a charm. I've still got it. It plays like a charm.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, I might as well, might as well try playing some jazz there,
Right?
you know. And I went one night, and I did my thing, and there was a guy there called Jeff Stanfield
Yeah.
who was running the jam, running the open mic,
Gotcha.
and very nice guy, very beautiful voice, and he writes some very congenial songs. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
that he's a very congenial musician. Let's
Right.
say
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
He's like Perry Como,
Yeah.
although he'd hate me for saying that maybe.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually play bass in Jeff's group now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. The demanding part of playing with him is playing tastefully,
Mm.
and it sounds usually sounds really good. Anyway, we made friends, and
Yeah.
I backed him up on a couple of tunes of his.
Yeah.
What was it? The river, the dream, the light river. I forget what exactly the Spirit River or something. And anyway, that was one of my favorites of his.
Mm-hmm.
And I played with that. And then there's Dave.
Right.
Um, what's his name?
Symington? Dave Symington?
Yeah, Symington. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's terrible. I played more gigs than I have fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you and Dave kind of had a duo project, right?
Yeah, well, it was a yeah. We would just get together and I'd squeeze him into my. You were there at my place in White Rock,
Yeah.
at that little cab, that little cottage.
Yeah.
I squeezed his drums in. He's the only drummer I could squeeze in there for one thing.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
And
No, the Octopads are a
I
lot
was
less.
I was worried about him. I was worried that he was because he wasn't outstanding, and that was not his point. Playing with the other people he played with at the open mic, and that he was just background support.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, come on, I mean, I expect a little more than that.
Yeah.
And I didn't say that, but I sort of egged him on a bit, and I showed him a few things about like not playing snare while my machine snare was happening,
Great.
and to play a different pattern aside from what I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he caught on. He
Yeah.
got that, and we played some things. The tears would just roll down my eyes because it was so beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
and I miss that. I miss that part of playing together.
Mm-hmm.
Although it became unmanageable really
Mm-hmm.
for me. I couldn't move the gear anymore. I couldn't move his gear anymore,
Right.
and we didn't have any time. And he didn't take it as seriously as I do. You know, he took an entire summer off once and
Gotcha.
went for a drive in Yellowstone Park.
Yeah.
And I thought, instead of looking for work for us, he'd be on sabbatical. He'd be gone, and I'd be sweating through the summer with nothing to do. I wasn't too happy about that. And then we played together again. And there's no hard feelings. It's just he's not a serious pro. I mean, he does practice stuff. He does try to learn drum things
Hmm.
when they come up. People show him stuff, and he learns it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's got his own problems with his hands and with his shoulders and his joints and just his health in general.
Hmm.
I was a little more blasé about that at the time than I remember we played the we played the Olympics, Robinson
Oh.
Square,
Okay. Yeah.
and after the first set, his hand started bleeding.
Oh. Yeah. I guess he must have cut it or something, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah, with his stick.
Hmm.
And like he got some of his friends came up and started taping him up, and I looked at him, and here's something from Hamilton came out of me. And I just said, he's all right, he'll live.
Gotcha. Right. Yeah. The East Coast mentality.
I apologized to him for that much later
Hmm.
because I realized that's no attitude.
Right. Yeah.
Just trying to be tough, man. Come on.
Yeah. No, the show must
What's the
go on,
point?
right? Yeah.
What's the point, really?
Yeah.
So, and he's put up with a lot
Hmm.
with his own situation and with me too, I guess. But yeah, I mean, and he's sort of been my go between VAMS and me and whatever situations we wind up playing.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. And then so I just also want to touch on you obviously have been involved in many aspects of musical creation, whether it's songwriting, whether it's singing, whether it's producing. Which aspect do you of the creative process do you look forward to the most? And what do you find you really have to work on or practice at?
I have to practice at everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I started out as a pretty basic guitar player, and I've had my moments when I actually played a lot,
Hmm. Yeah.
and I got pretty good.
Yeah.
I got pretty fast and good, and I learned how to fit in secondary chords and all kinds of substitutions, and I was pretty swift.
Hmm.
But then something happened. I forget what, and I didn't play for a while, and I just lost it. If I don't practice guitar, I lose it.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes for the keyboards because there's so much to be taken into account
Hmm.
with the keyboards. I mean, I am a better piano player now than I ever have been, really.
Hmm.
Better keyboard player, and that a lot of that came from playing a real piano, a real grand,
Right.
for about a year and a half every day. I mean, I learned to play jazz and blues, not classics. My hands are too small to get the reach for classical piano. Like I got a ninth at best.
Yeah.
And real serious piano players get tenths
Yeah.
and even more. These are octopus type guys with octopus hands. They're I gave up on even attempting anything like that.
Gotcha.
But then there's Michel Petrucciani, who's uh, he's a guy. He's about somebody of your stature.
Hmm.
And he's just amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if he sits on a phone book or what.
Gotcha.
I don't know how he handles the pedals,
Gotcha.
but he's just an amazing piano player.
Hmm.
So it's not really the fingers that matter so much.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, and again, it adheres to the VAMS as well, right? There's always ways that you can get around doing, there's no real written way to add substitutions or adaptations to when you're playing music.
Yeah. Well, VAMS. I have I guess I've had to correct my attitude towards VAMS
Okay.
because I wanted. I think you're doing something like you're getting closer to something like what I was suggesting for them for quite a few for quite a few years.
Okay.
Actually, I mean not strenuously or anything,
Mhm.
but I always wanted VAMS to represent both the amateurs who just play for therapy only, and who need to have some outlet, and more power to them. But then there's people who have not been stricken so badly, but it's obvious there's something they're dealing with a handicap of some kind,
Right.
but they're quite capable of playing amazing music.
Mhm. Very true.
And and I want VAMS. I don't know if it's even possible now, but I wanted VAMS to represent both farms of that
Right.
kind of with of that kind of approach.
Mhm. Yeah,
But I did.
no, we've definitely been moving, definitely putting on our own concert series, like the Strong Sessions, which you've played at, or Strong X's. So we're definitely starting to put on our own shows a lot more and kind of uh, get a larger presence in that form and way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's I appreciate. I mean, I played all kinds of. There was a lot of luncheons and awards and things that Dave and I played,
Gotcha. Yeah.
and we were like the circus act in
Right.
between the important stuff.
Right. The background, like not background necessarily, but it's in between speaking and yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's where I practiced my Thelonious Monk.
There you
And
go. Yeah.
and every now and then I'd see this eyebrow. I'd see somebody looking around saying, "What? I know that.
Yeah. Exactly.
What's he doing?"
That's funny. That's funny. So I guess another another aspect that maybe people don't know as well, but there's your musician and songwriting area, um, but the other area which you have a presence in is poetry. Would you mind
Oh
telling
yeah.
me a bit about that? And I know that I think when we were speaking with our notes about getting ready for today's talk, you had a piece that you had in mind that you'd like to
Yeah,
say.
okay. Actually, I started writing poet. I was an English major in college.
Okay.
I went through 2 years
Yeah.
until I got hooked up with his band, and I had a scholarship and everything.
Yeah.
It was such a sad thing. The woman who represented the government that gave me the scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
she looked so much like Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, really?
She
Yeah. Okay.
she had she had the same hairdo and everything,
Right.
and I had to tell her that I didn't want to continue with the scholarship
All right.
because I was learning more doing music
Mm-hmm.
with my band than I was at school.
Right.
I was learning more about relating to people
Mm-hmm.
and just the world at large,
Yeah.
as opposed to living in some small bubble where I was more protected, perhaps,
Mm-hmm.
but not necessarily developing.
Gotcha. Yeah. No,
And
that's an interesting point. Yeah.
so I had to tell her
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I'm sure that's not what you wanted to hear, but I mean,
Yeah, she took it rather well.
yeah, you had to do what's best for you, right?
Yeah, and but I so the fact that I can write is partly because I learned I read a lot of great poetry
Mm-hmm.
while I was there for 2 years,
Gotcha.
and I'll just read this. This is the latest one,
And
and it's an offshoot from what something Bruce Lee said in one of his movies
okay.
when he was one of his students was asking for advice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna read from the glasses.
Okay.
I don't something's happened to my eyesight today. Today.
And
Anyway,
what's the piece called?
sorry.
And what is the piece called?
It's called "Be Like Fire."
All right.
Be like fire, always changing as it licks and embraces all it consumes, turning it to dust and ashes, waiting for the wind to find a new home on the earth that goes on everywhere. until it slides into the water, always flowing on, around, and downward to rest in the deep, in the currents of an endless sleep. Be like creation before time that melts like a snowflake, becoming a tear on the face of a soul that lives forever and craves the icy kiss of change. Be like the river that rolls into the sea to feed the wind that makes the cloud, that feeds the tree, that holds the sky, inviting lightning that lights the spark to banish the dark, spiraling out into the eyes of eternity.
Yeah, no, I quite like that. The whole idea about flowing. That was beautiful, sir.
Yeah, yeah. It kind of took me back to the kind of cosmic philosophies that I was listening to and reading before I wrote Hello Ray.
Okay.
It's kind of full circle.
Uh-huh.
I've I don't generally write cosmic sort of poetry.
Mm-hmm.
Usually more relationship and yeah, relationship poetry or a situational.
Right. And so, do you? What's your process when you're writing poetry versus music?
Um, well, the process is well. I learned all about a rhythm, the rhythm of words.
Mm-hmm.
Like trochee, anapest.
Okay.
Those things, those Shakespearean things.
Yeah.
I learned about that, and that I realized that that's the scaffolding that most poetry is built on.
Gotcha.
It doesn't have to rhyme,
Mm-hmm.
but it has to have a flow.
Right.
It has to have a rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
and the rhythm is established by the words
Yeah.
as they're read. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
if it's just going through your mind, it may not have the same rhythm
Oh,
as when it's read. But anyway, I just write mostly. I don't read. I don't say them. I do say the words out loud, but I try to match. I try to match stanzas,
gotcha.
either and then there's the way you write A B
Mm-hmm.
A A B C,
Yeah. Of course,
or
the arrangement.
stuff like that, or
Yeah.
A B
The-
C, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I try to keep it together like that,
Gotcha. And then
because
would that be like? Do you normally go with an intention when you're writing, or is it more stream of consciousness?
it usually starts with a stream of well, it starts with an idea
Gotcha.
or a few words, but then it gets to be a stream.
Okay.
um, I've written very few stream of consciousness. I wrote one stream of consciousness thing. It was a hoot. It was just meant for fun,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be a lot of fun. I don't mean to demean it. Stream of consciousness can mean many things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, actually, that's the beauty of it. It can mean more things than just two or three.
Yeah.
But poetry is something I don't have any. I mean, I spent some time at doing the first edit of some short stories and a book of poetry,
Mm-hmm.
which I which is still somewhere in the study part of my apartment here, my tin can,
Yeah.
and it's like I haven't gotten near it. I haven't touched it. I don't know what to do with it. I'm a little trepidatious about it. I know there are some good parts. I wrote a lot more, especially when I was driving cab.
Mm-hmm.
I would write what happened at the end of the day. I would write down what seemed to be meaningful things,
Right.
and I don't write. And then I mean, for a while it all just went. It all just went to booze. It all went downhill. I couldn't write unless I drank.
Gotcha.
I still wrote some good stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it got to a point where I read it the next day, and it looked like gibberish.
Right.
I didn't like that. So I stopped for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But the one I just read, I wrote totally straight,
Yeah.
and because the ideas transcend human states. They do.
Mm-hmm.
If you can have an idea or any number of ideas, and it, being being inebriated may jumble them up a bit,
Mm-hmm.
but the truth of the idea, because it lives in the heart. Ideas live in the heart
Mm-hmm.
primarily. At least mine do. They don't live just in my head. I don't write to prove things out of my head.
Right.
I write things to make sense for my heart.
So
I shouldn't go any deeper into that.
no. I like that. Ideas come from the heart. That's a great line. So I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice to a person listening to the podcast right now, interested in pursuing music, songwriting, or poetry, what would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
Well, remember what I told you the last time we talked. We were talking about these questions,
Yeah.
and I said, "Don't."
Right. Yeah, no, that seems to be a consistent phrase sometimes with people who've been in the industry for a longer period of time.
Well, the yeah, don't unless you're ready to give it everything you've got,
Mm-hmm.
and it really means something to you.
Right.
If it means something to you first, it doesn't mean, and even if nobody else it really gets it,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
then you can look at it again and say, well, why don't they get it and I do? But you got to make sure that you get it first, that it means something more than just a brief reading and say, well, that's how I was feeling at the time. And I'm glad I wrote it down. But let's file it,
Yeah.
it's more important. That's with poetry. But with music, there's a lot more involved because you literally, there are very few geniuses who just appear fully blown in front of a keyboard and play this amazing stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen and heard some people who couldn't even read music. Like this was when I was down in Santa Monica, and on the beach. What do they call it? Echo, not Echo, um, Venice.
Right. Venice Beach. Yep.
I lived near Venice for a while, and I would hang out on the boardwalk down there. And I met this one black guy, young black guy, and he sat down at my piano and just blew my mind. He could play just this amazing stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and he just nonchalantly, he wasn't forcing anything. He just knew how to do it.
Yeah.
Trouble with that, with people who are blessed like that, they don't always follow through
Mm. Yeah.
because it's too easy for them, or it's too harsh when they come up against any criticism at all,
Yeah.
whether it's deserved or not. They may be too sensitive
Mm-hmm.
and can't take it, can't actually stick to their guns.
Right.
That's the second part. I think I already covered that.
Yeah.
You have to stick to your guns.
Yeah.
Even if some of the stuff you play is not very good,
Yeah.
at some point or other, you listen to it and you say, I don't know. I got to do better than that. It's
Yeah.
got to be better than that.
No, to have your internal criticism to come to that realization.
Yeah, and then you begin to improve.
Mm-hmm.
You have to practice. You have to be very accurate. You have to be able to play accurately
Mm-hmm.
so that what you're actually feeling is represented by what comes out.
Yeah, translates through.
That if that doesn't happen, then you're kidding yourself as well,
Mm-hmm.
as even if you're not trying to.
Right.
Like you literally have to be on the ball,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to practice to do that.
Yes.
It takes, you can't just expect to go. I mean, some people they practice so hard in their youth that it's ingrained.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know that I practiced the accordion so hard that my right hand is somehow hot wired to my brain.
Right.
I don't have to practice my right hand so much
Mm-hmm.
for piano.
Right.
But left hand, oh,
Yeah, got to get in the shed.
Man, I mean, I have to think it. I have to think it.
Hmm.
And I don't have to think. I have to think the right hand too when I'm playing it, but it, I think it in terms of a whole series of notes,
Right.
as opposed to left hand is it's just two or three at a time.
Yep.
It's just in and getting the right ones.
No, of course.
You
Yeah,
know?
no, it's natural. Yeah, for sure.
And that I guess if anybody asked for advice, it would be that. And you know, when it comes to actually is it you want to play, you're gonna have to decide at some point
Hmm.
because doors will open and different paths will present themselves. And the best, it's an open question
Yeah.
whether or not you need to be true to yourself, like your own background,
Hmm.
and stick to that,
Yeah.
or just find a genre that you like and just emulate it and learn
Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
Like I had no idea what blues was
Hmm.
until I actually went to the States. Blues and R&B.
Yeah.
I didn't hear much of that up here
Yeah.
when I was growing up.
Hmm.
And if I was to play what if I was to stick to what I know, well, it would be classical or classically oriented music.
Right.
But that's not what I stick to. I love blues and I love playing R&B and I love playing jazz. I
Hmm.
love, but I have to study it. I have to learn. It's a language.
Right.
It's a whole other language, and I'm always busy learning it. And this is up to the individual
Yeah.
whether or not they, I mean, there's people like say Mose Allison, for example. He's white, but he plays like a black guy from Mississippi.
Hmm.
That's his background. He probably doesn't have to think too hard about what his next note's going to be.
Hmm. Yeah. I guess, and it also stems from the individual and the passion that's driven behind it.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you're trying to if you're trying to show off and get attention, that's just the upper level. No, actually the lowest level. You're coming in on the lowest level.
Yeah. Showmanship
Uh,
is, yeah,
yeah,
talent.
I mean, because that won't that I mean it didn't. I mean, there are people who do make a living at it
Hmm.
like that, but they're not very interesting,
Right.
and they persevere because they don't know anything else.
Hmm. Yep.
They're stuck with it. But if it's coming out of a genuine disposition to learn and to present
Hmm.
what's what's in your soul at the time, then you'll never run out of inspiration or ideas.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's a great point. So, would you mind treating our listeners to one last song?
Okay, one last song. Let me see. I've got a list of about 30 of them here.
Okay. Well, we'll have to get you back to do a concert coming up here.
Let's see. Maybe I should. I'm feeling sort of a little shaky, and my voice is pretty. I don't know what happened. I didn't. I have not been drinking.
No. Yeah.
Mostly because I noticed it's a downhill.
Hmm.
It's a downhill slope.
Right.
Although I have perfect excuse to drink. I mean, I'm in pain a lot from a an arthritic hip,
Right.
and the booze just mitigates it. It
Right.
doesn't
Hmm.
take it away.
Hmm.
And sometimes actually just being in that state, I'm not occupied by anything else except by the music I'm playing, and then there's lots of musicians who get trapped when that they can't play unless they drink.
Right. Yeah. Or yeah, substance abuse in general with the music industry.
I've been fighting that ever since I recognized it.
Hmm.
And like when I was in the hospital, it's been about 6 years now.
Yeah.
6 years ago, I had congestive heart failure.
Hmm.
I had no idea
Yeah.
it was going to happen. It just happened one day, one night,
Gotcha.
bam, just like that. And I had to learn how to play, how to sing from scratch
Right.
because I was anyway. Where was that going? I also lost, maybe I lost a few more brain cells than I care to admit. It's funny when you get to a certain age, you can blame it on all kinds of exterior things, but
Mhm.
really, it's you really do only retain the most important parts.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's my excuse anyway. Okay,
Well, it
what
still
am I
works with
gonna
the music.
what am I going to play? What am I going to play? Something inspirational, would you say?
Yeah, that'd be great to
All right,
end the
this
podcast.
is simple. It's just this a very simple inspirational tune.
Okay.
I've got other inspirational tunes that mention Jesus and all that, but I don't want to get into any flack.
Oh yeah, no worries.
You
Yeah.
know,
No,
people.
whatever you want to play. Whatever
You
you want
know,
to play. Yeah.
okay. Oh no, wait. It's May your cup never be empty. May your rhythm always flow. May your joy, like your heartbeat, follow wherever you may go. May your days fall sadness, like the daylight follows night, and your joy follow islands of delight. I'm sorry. Oh my, may you never wander far from the earth and the sea and the sky, above what you really are. Oh my, may you never wander far. Actually, I'm going to do the other one.
Okay. Sure. Jesus tells you, you crazy old fool, lost by the roadside, all out of fuel. Life has been so hard, so cold, so cruel. Jesus still loves you, you crazy old fool. Lost and forsaken, my love was mistaken for needing someplace to hide. I need to be forgiven for things never forgotten. No one is left on my side. No, no, no. Jesus still loves you, you crazy old fool. Lost by the roadside, all out of you. Life has been so hard, so cold, so cruel. Jesus still loves you, you crazy old fool. What will it take to be needed by someone? What will it take to be free? Yes.
still loves you, you crazy old fool. Lost by the roadside, all of you. Life has been so hard, so cold, so cruel. Jesus still loves you, you crazy old fool. Jesus still loves you, you crazy old fool.
That was my final segment of interviewing Rolf Kempf. For more information on the Vancouver Adapted Music Society, music and disability, tune in to Reimagine Radio. Take care and keep that music flowing.